Bayo Jayola to lead us in an opening prayer. Is Jayola in the house? Okay,
I think he has to unmute his.
Wumi, please, can you mute your phone? Okay. If it's finding this is a problem with it, let me respectfully call on Otumba Oshibogun to lead us in an opening prayer.
Shall we pray, please?
Yes.
Eternal Rock of Ages, my Lord and my God, we thank you for giving us the opportunity to attend another annual general meeting of our distinguished institute. We call on you this morning as we're about to start the program that you come and take absolute control in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen.
Pray, God Almighty, that you come and lead the president aright in directing this meeting in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen.
Amen.
Of it all, Father. May the glory be ours and the blessings be yours. In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Otumba.
Thank you.
Let me formally welcome our members. The first vice president of our great institute, Pastor Bayo Olugbemi, FCIB. The second vice president of our institute, Dr. Ken Okwara, FCIB.
Notice of meeting.
Notice of meeting, eh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry. All right. Let me formally call the registrar for notice of meeting. It's not yet.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning to all members. This is the notice of 2020 annual general meeting stroke election of officers of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. This is to notify all members of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria that the 2020 annual general meeting stroke election of institute officers will hold as follows. Date, Saturday, April 4, 2020, time 10 a.m. Venue, online meeting via the Bankers House coordination at PC 19 Adeola Hopewell Street, Victoria Island. Agenda, the 2019 annual reports and accounts. 2, elections of as follows: President, first Vice President, second Vice President, the National Treasurer, the ex-officials, 4 are to be elected. 3, special resolutions. 4, any other business. And 5, adjournment. All members of the Institute are to please eligibility to vote as stated, and voting to commence from Wednesday, 1st April 2020 and to end on at 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, April 4th, by order of Governing Council. All inquiries to the Registrar Chief Executive are signed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, the Registrar Chief Executive. On quorum.
Thank
the
you.
quorum for the general meeting of the institute shall be 20 members in line with Section 4, Subsection 3, First Schedule of the CIBN Act number 5 of 2007, and Governing Council Decision at the meeting of December 7, 2017, approving online attendance of meetings. Registrar Chief Executive.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and President. We are pleased to say that we have more than 20 online currently joined. We currently have about 110 members online. This is more than the expected quorum, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Registrar. From information received from the Registrar Chief Executive, a proper forum has been formed and the meeting is duly convened and properly constituted. Item 4, reading and adoption of the minutes of meeting of May 18, 2019.
Sorry, Mr. President, point of order, sir. Your welcome remarks to members.
Okay. Sorry, thanks. Welcome remarks. Thank you very much. The first Vice President of Agrarian Institute, Pastor Bayo Lugbemi, FCIB. The second Vice President, Dr. Ken Okpara, FCIB. The Honorary National Treasurer of Agrarian Institute, Professor Deji Olariwaju, FCIB. Our distinguished past presidents here present, I know that Mazi Osiko Nebu has joined. Jayola is also online. And Otumba Oshibogun is online. Our distinguished past president, I want to welcome you, I want to appreciate you for joining this novel occasion. Members of our distinguished council members here present, our distinguished members, I want to formally welcome you all to this annual general meeting. Of course, you will agree today that history is being made as we're holding our online annual general meeting due to circumstances, but it is a welcome idea because we are leveraging on technology to move the affairs of the Institute forward. I want to thank you for finding time to join in spite of their busy schedules. This, for me, shows the commitment and passion you have for our great institute. I have no doubt that this meeting today will really come to fruition. I want to thank you all for joining and pray that God will guide us peacefully and the resolutions reached will bring glory to his name. Thank you once more for joining. I pray that we will conduct ourselves in line with the guidelines. I want to say here that as you join, you should mute your phone or your speakers so that we can be audible and get ourselves together. And if you want to be recognized, you just press raise your hands, and then we'll recognize you through the system. I want to thank you once more for finding time to join. God bless you all. All right, let's look at reading and adoption of the previous meeting minutes of May 18.
Mr. President, I
Yes.
think we need to make apologies.
Eh?
Apologies.
Okay, apologies. All right, no problem. Thank you, past President Otumba. Registrar Chief Executive, any apologies?
Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, we did not receive any apology for this meeting.
Thank you very much. All right, let's go to item 4, reading and adoption of the minutes of meeting of May 18, 2019. Since the meeting, I guess, Registrar Chief Executive, that the minutes have been earlier circulated.
Yes, sir.
So it's assumed that members have read it.
Yes, sir.
Is that okay? Okay, so we just quickly rush to the minutes. Page 1. Page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5.
Mr. President,
Yes,
maybe, hello, Mr. President,
yes, go ahead.
maybe you should take it along numerous so that because people are using different platforms, say
Okay.
1, 2, I, and all the rest of them.
Well, the way it was structured here, the way it was structured here, it may not work that way. Okay, let's look at it. Okay, 5.0. 5.0. 6.0, that is the Registrar Chief Executive's report.
Mr.
7.0.
Chairman, sir.
Yes,
Sir.
go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead. Who is speaking? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello, Mr. President.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, 4.2, sir. 4. Yes.
Yes, go
I
ahead.
have challenge with 4.2. There ought to be a slight amendment. Yes, sir.
4.2.
Can
What
I
about 4?
go ahead? Yeah, second line says members who have been dominant became, I think that word should be become, not became active. So,
Okay.
also for 4.6, for 4.6, 4.2, that word I think should have been become. Then 4.6.
Yeah. Okay. You know,
undergoing a review of the current country. Like, yes, I think it should be in curriculum, to incorporate e-banking among others. 4.7F, anybody in the chairman of the district committee do what that information was captured in the minister.
Can you? I'm not getting you. Your bandwidth is low. So what you do? Can you please send the amended version to Secretariat? We'll correct them. Let's move on.
Hello, Mr.
Yeah.
President.
Yes. Segun Ajibola, past president Segun Ajibola.
Yeah, because you recognize the past presidents in attendance, you omitted my name.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I joined before time.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't get to this. I'm sorry. You're welcome, sir. You have always been noted for promptness.
Just to register my attendance.
Thank you. Thank you. You have always been noted for promptness. I acknowledge you, sir. National Treasurer, what you should do is that since your bandwidth is a little bit low, what you do is please can you make the necessary amendments and send to the Secretariat, we shall amend accordingly.
Mr. President, just a point of information, sir. He can use the chat. He can use the chat to send in the amendment that he is proposing.
Okay. Okay.
And we can give you some time to look at it and adopt it.
No, if you have, okay, you look at it and then adopt it, I guess.
Yes.
Okay. First Vice President, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had challenge with my system.
Thank you. Don't worry. The Lord is your strength.
Amen.
Okay, so amendments and observations can be sent via chat. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay, so I give you 2 minutes to look at it, and then after you come back with your amendments, and those amendments are being recorded, we will amend accordingly if we have to save time. Am I carrying people along?
That's okay, yes. Mr. President.
Yes, that's okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so in 2 minutes, I want the members to call for adoption of the minutes. Who is moving the motion for the adoption of the minutes of May 18, 2019?
Ogalabu Abia.
Ogalabu Maswell?
Yes, I'm here, sir. All protocol observed. Sir, having been present, yes, Chairman Abia, Acting Chairman Abia.
Okay.
Having been present at the meeting and having duly read the meeting as sent to us yesterday, and in accordance with the observation of the National Treasurer, I hereby, Ogalabu Maswell Chinenye Roselyn, Acting Chairman Abia, hereby move for the adoption of 2019 Annual General Meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Yes.
My name is
President, sir.
Osuji, Chairman River State Branch.
Clement Osuji, yes. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. President, Chairman River State Branch. I support.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ogalabu Maswell moves for adoption of the minutes. Osuji, Chairman of River State, supported. Thank you very much for moving that motion. Okay, matters arising from minutes of the meeting of May 18, 2019.
Thank you very much, President and Chairman of Council. Matters arising from the annual general meeting of May 18 as follows. The update on CIBN land. We were directed to present a report on the Institute's land in Abuja at the next annual general meeting. And I do as follows. On Asokoro land, the Asokoro land is actually free from encumbrance, having been procured by the Institute legally. However, the government policy on development of the area is restricted only to residential properties. And the Governing Council has just recently directed that a professional valuation of the property be conducted to determine its market value, and then a decision on its disposal or otherwise will be taken. On POE land, the Institute was offered a statutory right of occupancy on the land at POE as a settlement issue, as a settlement for the land in court. However, the alternate land offered to us was discovered that the natives are still occupying a large chunk of it, and all steps taken so far to really relocate them with the support of the development agencies in FCT and FCDA has proved abortive. In this regard, the out-of-court settlement has failed, and the court case has returned as expected. Utako land, which is also related to this, the Institute ongoing court case, which based on the failed resettlement issue, and to also put on record that we never went out of court totally, because based on advice from our legal cancelled. So the case with Chida came up on December 10, 2019. But because of certain development which had to do with the unplanned medical trip abroad by our senior advocate of Nigeria, who is handling the case, the court temporarily struck out the claim, but a counterclaim has been refiled, and the case has returned back normally. So it's now going for continuation on April 14, 2020. We hope that the COVID will allow this case to go on. But I like to also put on record that we have had a very strategic meeting with our legal counsel just 2 weeks ago in Abuja, and we have been reassured that the Institute has a good case, and the fact that the resettlement has failed, and so the case is going to be pursued with all professional dexterity. The allocation of land in Ogun State, management has followed up with the Director, Ogun State Ministry of Lands and Housing, Abeokuta, and we want to put on record the role of the Abeokuta Ogun State branch. Currently, the ministry is at the stage of where the land will be sited, determining which of the sites to be made available to the Institute. And they have promised to get across to us on this. Chairing Lisa, I like to say that the properties in our landed properties in Owerri, Oshogbo, and Ado-Ekiti, we have completed their fencing properly, and the council has approved an Institute's prototype building for the development of these sites. This, we are very sure that will take place in the not too distant future. Is a prototype for each of the branches that will be multi-purpose and revenue driven, and also meeting the mandate of the Institute. Finally, and also on a sharing note, I'd like to, on behalf of Governing Council, report to this AGM that the Institute has recently finalized the purchase of a property in Abuja to act as the Abuja Bankers House Abuja. The property is located at plot 1479, Kadastra Zone A03, number 12, Oroago Crescent, off Muhammad Buhari Way, Gariki 2, Abuja. And this building will house the National Secretariat Annex, as well as the permanent secretariat of the Alliance of African Institute of Bankers as a regional headquarters. The title is a certificate of occupancy, and the registered owners, as we found in the land registry, the FCDA, is United Capital Trustees Limited, formerly known as UBA Trustees, as trustees of Union Homes Real Estate Investment Trust. The property was purchased at a price of 550 million. We have also paid the agency fees, which is a 5%, as well as the legal fees of 13,750,000, putting the total investment paid so far on this building to 591,250,000. All these as approved by the Governing Council. Further to this is that the ground rent, which was taken into consideration during the cost of negotiation, totaling 1,866,381 naira and 99 kobo, had also been paid. Perfection to the title is being handled by our external lawyers, the SOQ Giwa and Co, and the Jiolan Rewaju and Co. They are working seriously to perfect all the titles legally. And as to fiscal possession, Union Homes has responded to our request for fiscal possession, which should have been done in the last 2 weeks, if not for the COVID breakout. They are currently, the property, we have been informed that Union Homes is having a branch and so on, and they have made it known that they would like to continue to be a tenant in the building. However, the area coverage of the building is wide enough and large enough to occupy as many tenants as possible, and also as the opportunity for another floor to be placed on it, which we have tested through professionals certified by the federal government that it can still take another building. Details of this particular land and property can still be found on item 8.0 on page 93 of the annual report and accounts for this AGM. Number 2 is the participation of associate members in the Institute's activities. As directed by the last AGM, the Governing Council and Management were directed to encourage associate members to participate in the activities of the Institute. This has continuously been encouraged, and today, associate members have been nominated to serve in statutory committees of the Institute, as well as in some programs of the Institute outside, externally. They have also been nominated to serve on the linkage committee and linkage monitoring teams. Also, some associates have been appointed to participate in examination activities as examiners, monitors, and even moderators and question setters. Associates have also been invited to serve on educational development activities such as accreditation, study pack development, publication, and review. And in some cases, associates and members have been nominated by council to represent the Institute in some strategic bodies outside of the Institute and within the economy. Number 3 is the linkage monitoring. We were directed to engage and adequately equip the zonal offices, especially in the northern areas of Nigeria, as it concerns linkage monitoring for better performance. I'd like to report that the Institute has put in place a monitoring mechanism and opened several communication channels, especially using the social media to enhance the performance of the zonal coordinators. In this regard, I'd like to just briefly mention a few. We have created a WhatsApp group for all the zonal offices, for all the branches, and also taking those that were created by the branches themselves as part of us, and also for the linkage group and their coordinators to monitor and enhance information dissemination. We have also continued to pay scheduled linkage monitoring visits to all the institutions via the Membership Development and Services Committee. I am also happy to announce that we have introduced additional incentives for the linkage coordinators. That is the linkage coordinators from the top 3 schools to be sponsored by the Institute to attend the annual Banking and Finance Conference, as well as to continue with our initiative of 3 years ago, deliberately bringing in millennia from all the linked schools under the aegis of the Consultative Committee on Banking and Finance Conference. Number 4 is the appointment of Professor Olalekan Asikiya as Director, CIB and CFS on sabbatical arrangement. As directed at the last AGM, Professor Olalekan Asikiya, the Dean of Faculty of Management, Babcock University, was appointed in line with the Institute policy on sabbatical arrangement. And this was strengthened to validate the advice of the AGM by the office holders, led by the President and Chairman of Council, Dr. Uche Mezakolo, FCIB. meeting and engaging him to really ensure that the gentleman is fit for purpose. And the Governing Council at its meeting of 5th March 2020 has assessed his contributions to the CIB and CFS since his engagement and gave him a pass mark. Number 5 is that CIBN website portal for redevelopment. We have to give an update on this redevelopment of the website and the portal. On pages, item 5.4.1, page 17 of the annual report of account is detailed on this. But I'm happy to also say that we have developed this portal and this impact is coming in as expected. The number 6 is the review of the CIBN Act. An updated report of this could be found on page 15 under item 5.1.1 of the annual reports and accounts. May I say ahead of this that the Governing Council has approved the transmission of the draft to the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Finance, which is the ministry that is expected to drive the bill as an executive bill for presentation to the Federal Executive Council before the Federal Executive Council, through the presidency, will transmit it to the National Assembly. This process has commenced, and we will definitely, in the few moments from now, give you further feedback on this. On the ethics and compliance certification, the AGM ruled that we should give an update on the above certification, which is in furtherance of the competency framework as established and approved by the Bankers Committee for the Institute to drive since 2012. On page 47, item 6.3.1 of the Registrar's report of the annual report and accounts is a detailed account of this. However, I'd like to state that so far, 87,000 and above employees of the banking industry in Nigeria have registered for this particular competency framework, covering 18 banks out of the 27. And we are hopeful that the remaining 8 banks will join soon, as also we have under the supervision of the Bankers Committee, Subcommittee on Capacity and Standards, planning to escalate beyond managers this certification, which is a leverage for us on ethical compliance. Finally, on syllabus review, sir, we were mandated to involve regulatory bodies like NUC, MBTE, and other regulatory bodies in the educational sector, especially as it relates to banking and finance, to make input. I'm happy to announce that the draft curriculum was escalated appropriately to all these organs, and they made their respected input. And this curriculum has been approved by the Governing Council. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members.
Thank you, Registrative Executive, for that report on matters arising from the minutes of the meeting of May 18, 2019. We shall now proceed to business of the business of the day, business of the meeting. Let me quickly say here that
Mr. Chairman, sir, point of order with all humility. There is need to accept the minutes of meeting to adopt it. Sir.
It's been adopted now.
It's adopted.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Sorry.
The meeting was adopted.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Go
ahead, sir.
Yeah. You will have an opportunity to ask questions on the comments on matters arising by the registrar.
Okay, yes, please do. Please do.
I've listened attentively to the updates on Abuja land.
Yes.
And it will appear that we are now committed to a particular one for which funds have been committed.
Yes.
But at the same time, we're still chasing some other plots, including those one or two in court. I'm just wondering at this point in time, shouldn't we make a decision to ascertain exactly what we now want in Abuja? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other person that has matters raised on the matters arising? You want to get some more clarification? Yes. Past President Ajibola, you want to say something? Okay. Any other person?
Yes.
Okay, let me quickly.
I have something to say. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and Chairman of Council, other executive members. Good morning, members. I particularly want to thank the Institute for the level of disclosure in this last briefing by the Registrar Chief Executive, especially on the Abuja land. The fact that the court case was temporarily struck out, and by strategic meetings and what have you have been relisted, is good that that was disclosed. But I want to observe that if our son is going abroad, please in future we prevail on them to send people from their chamber to represent them so that we will not be taken unawares. If not because of the strategic meetings, perhaps this matter will not be relisted. That is one. Secondly, I want also to congratulate the Institute for the fencing of the properties, the lands in Owerri, Osogbo, and Ekiti, and approving that a prototype building be put in these places. That is a very good one, and try to solidify the Institute future. But because I'm not privy to that prototype, I want to say that please, whatever prototype we want to put, we try and make it in such a way that it will be revenue driving to help service the property in future. Because we don't know the source, whether the institute source of income will continue to do it, but let the property be self-servicing by earnings or revenue. That's what I want to contribute. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I think I'll just take those three and we will be. Well, thank you, Mr. Esogule, past registrar. Just want to quickly say that, yes, you will recall that we hadn't any need for going to purchase another land if we had resolved those cases. And you also recall that, coupled with the fact that part of the promise that we made to African Alliance of Institute of Bankers in domiciling the secretariat, permanent secretariat of that body in Abuja, came with the promise that we have a place to house them. So following all this development, we were able to say, okay, fine. We thank God that we've been able to get a very befitting, very befitting banker's house in Abuja. The governing council has also expressed your fears on this. Well, for the case in court, there is nothing we can do. We'll continue to follow them to logical conclusion. I recall that the issue about the Asokoro land is where the decision has to be taken. Council in their last meeting had requested that we look at that. Since we are not in the business of real estate, we must review what we want to do with that land. Do we dispose? If we have to dispose, or do we enhance it for rent so as to generate more revenue? But it was agreed, one, that Abuja market is depressed, and because it's depressed, this is not the time to offload that assets. However, we can review, we can, what do we call it now? We can value, yeah, we can conduct a valuation
to
see whether it commands a kind of value that we should decide, because that valuation will decide the decision either to sell or to hold. But it was agreed that there was no point if we are not going to sell immediately. We would now be expending some money. But it is very much in line that we are going to dispose of that property and realize whatever profit or, I think we are going to realize a profit from that investment. So we're not going to keep those property. That is the decision, except in the wisdom of AGM. If AGM said we should go ahead in keeping them, then we can. Otherwise, we will have intention of disposing them and using that resources, channel it to more productive use. When we're talking about enhancing that property, what is there is a rickety three-bedroom boys' quarter, so that whatever investment we get there will not really give us the mileage that we require. So it was unanimously agreed that we should, at the right opportune time, dispose of that property. So that is the status of those the land. Well, I believe that the next council should be able to reconstruct, reconfigure the aesthetics of our new bankers' house. So that will be, that is on the pipeline. With respect to Nnaji, the prototype, if you recall, the Registrar Chief Executive said the prototype is designed specifically to earn revenue at the same time meet the mileage of the institute. So your fears, we have taken into consideration your fears. On the SAN, we have expressly, through our solicitors, expressed our disappointment over the way it was handled. And we have a firm promise that interests of the institute will be protected at all times. Thank you very much. I hope I've been able to give further clarifications on the issues raised. Shall we now move to item? Yeah? Shall we now move to item 6? Now, the rules is this: to facilitate a smooth conduct of the business of the day, I will move a motion, each motion, and invite seconders for each motion from members. Members are kindly requested to click a yes or a no on the polling window that will pop up in the screen once I call for voting. I don't know whether I have communicated. In putting a motion, Chairman is to say those in favor of the motion should please click yes, and those against the motion should please click no. And the polling window that will pop up, polling window will be pop up on your screen. So depending on the percentage of yes or no, the chairman will declare the result. And so is that clear?
Yes.
Yes, do we understand? Do we appreciate it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yes.
And let me also say that if you are not being recognized, can you mute your phones so that we can have a more, we can hear ourselves. Thank you. On the ordinary business of the meeting, to save time, all the reports will be taken before questions and answers and the discussions of the annual report. We shall take all the president's report. We shall take the registrar's report. And we shall take the financial reports. Thereafter, we shall also take the auditor's report. And after that, we can now have questions and answers. Thank you very much if that goes well with members. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And now we proceed for my address. The first vice president of our great institute, Pastor Bayo Olugbemi, FCIB. The second vice president of our great institute, Dr. Ken Obara, FCIB. The honorary national treasurer of our revived institute, Professor Deji Olariwaju, FCIB. Our past president here present. Mazi Osike Unebu, FCIB. Our past president, Jayola Laoye Jayola. Our past president, Otumba Oshubogun, FCIB. Their immediate past president, Professor Segun Ajibola. My respected council members.
Sorry, Mr. President, past President Ekundayo is online. He's also joining us.
Okay, past President Ekundayo, thank you very much for joining us. Well done, sir. I appreciate you. Distinguished members, I want to welcome you this morning. But before I take to read the address, let me crave your indulgence for us to observe the minute silence for our revered founding father, Alhaji Pa Otiti, who has gone to be with his creator, and some other members that also passed through. So can we just have a 1 minute silence? May the soul of the departed rest in the bosom of the Lord.
Amen.
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 Thank you very much. Distinguished members, it is my utmost pleasure to welcome you to the 2020 edition of the Annual General Meeting of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. This is particularly a significant moment for me, as this will be the last time I will be presiding over the Annual General Meeting of a highly revered institute as President and Chairman of Council. It is also very significant, as this is the very first time in the history of our institute that our AGM is being held via a virtual platform as a result of the novel coronavirus pandemic, otherwise known as COVID-19. The scourge has been ravaging the entire world, health-wise, economically, and socially. This arrangement enables us limit exposure by sheltering at home, maintaining social distance while participating in this statutory meeting. Indeed, our institute is advancing through adversity as we leverage technology to ensure business continuity. We commend the intervention of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the various banks who are corporate members, as well as the state and federal government for their efforts at containing the spread of the virus. Before I proceed with my report, permit me to express my heartfelt gratitude to you all for giving me this great opportunity to serve you as the 20th President and Chairman of Council of our dear institute. Recall that on May 19, 2018, during my investiture as President and Chairman of Council, I made a promise to deliver exceptional value to the Institute as encapsulated in my acceptance speech. Today, we're all living witnesses of the modest achievement we have recorded. We have raised the bar in terms of general outlook of the Institute, quality of our programs, content of our curriculum, and stakeholders' engagement. We have succeeded in raising the brand equity and have tenaciously upheld the values of ethics and professionalism. We have remained committed to our conviction of becoming a reference point for skills and conduct in the banking and finance industry. Indeed, we have elevated our craft to the zenith of uncommon freshness and originality. Permit me, distinguished guests, to appreciate my fellow office holders, esteemed members of the Governing Council, our amiable and revered past presidents, and of course, the management and staff of the Institute, ably led by Mr. Shea Awojobi, FCIB. It has truly been an honor working with you all. Indeed, this is an experience that will be cherished forever. Without becoming sentimental, let me welcome you all once again to the 2020 Annual General Meeting, as I humbly present to you the highlights of the achievements of the Institute under my watch over the last 12 months. But before then, may I crave your indulgence to briefly reflect on some of the important social, economic, and economic developments, both locally and internationally, during the year under review. 2.0, global and national economic trends in 2019. On the global scene, the year 2019 saw intensified trade wars between the United States and the People's Republic of China. The economic conflict between the world's biggest economy was initiated by the US to protect intellectual property and curb that what was described as unfair trade practices. The trade was significantly dampened growth of the Chinese gross domestic product from 7% in 2017 to 6.82 in 2018, and then 6.27 in 2019, sliding quarterly to 6.0 in the fourth quarter of 2019, the lowest level in 3 decades. Aside from a bruising trade war with the United States, this showdown was accentuated by weakening domestic demand. This factor also contributed to drop in average crude oil price from 71 per barrel in 2018 to $64 in 2019. As we speak, it's under sub $25. The year also witnessed uncertainties triggered by the outcome of the Brexit referendum, which resulted in the resignation of Theresa May as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom effective June 7, 2019, and subsequent appointment of Boris Johnson, former mayor of London and conservative leader, on July 24, 2019. The uncertainties reduced a little with the election of Mr. Johnson as Prime Minister, excuse me, as Prime Minister on December 12, 2019. Global GDP growth figures were not as promising as previously anticipated. According to IMF, the global economy grew by 2.9% in 2019, the lowest estimate since the 2008-2009 financial crisis, and a 0.4% downward revision from the forecast in April 2019 IMF World Economic Outlook. This downward review was largely adduced to the US-China tariff increases, new automobile fuel emission standards in Germany, sovereign and financial risk in Italy, and a weakened market sentiment in Turkey. The outlook for 2020 was initially positive, as IMF forecasted an increase in global GDP by 3.3% in expectation of improvement in the economic performance in emerging market economies, such as Brazil, India, Mexico, Russia, and Turkey. However, the outbreak of the coronavirus in China in December 2019, as well as its spread to many countries, has had significant negative impacts on global economic activities. As at March 27th, 10.08 GMT 2020, There were 540,000. Now I think it has climbed up to 1 million reported cases across. With 24,000, I think the death has also risen astronomically, even as economic activities are slowed due to movement restrictions and shutdown of some production facilities. Given this, IMF estimated that global growth will fall below 2.9% recorded in 2019. We are all bracing up for economic recession. On the domestic front, the Nigerian economy improved in 2019, albeit at a relatively slow pace, growing by 2.27%, which was a significant improvement compared to the growth of 1.91% in 2018. This is also the highest annual growth rate since the economic recession of 2016. The improvement arose from the resilience of the non-oil sector, which grew by 2.06% in 2019, and the oil sector, which expanded by significant 4.59% in 2019, compared to 0.97% in the previous year. In 2019, the inflation rate was generally stable relative to 2018, averaging 11.35% compared to 12.2% in 2018. However, inflation in the later part of 2019 responded to the land border closure policy implemented in August with the intention to curb illegal smuggling of food products, particularly rice, into the country. This policy caused the inflation rate to rise persistently from 11% in August to 12% in December. The year 2019 would be remembered as one for the introduction of significant and progressive policy initiatives. For example, as earlier mentioned, the government in October announced full closure of land borders, citing non-compliance of neighboring countries with ECOWAS protocols on transit of goods. Other policy included the introduction of the Creative Industry Financing Initiative funded by Central Bank of Nigeria to provide access to long-term and low-interest financing for entrepreneurs in creative industry, including fashion, music, movies, and information technologies. Other policy initiatives include the signing of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, as well as the law mandating an increase in Nigerian minimum wage from 18,000 to 30,000 per month by His Excellency, President Muhammad Buhari, GCFR. On the business environment, a number of reforms were introduced in the year under review by the Presidential Enabling Business Environmental Council, PEBEC, to further ease doing business in Nigeria. Nigeria recorded progress in areas such as starting a business, enforcing contracts, and dealing with construction permits. The permit of such reform is evidenced in Nigeria moving up 15 places to 131 in the World Bank 2019 Ease of Doing Business Index. Nigeria also made the global top 10 list of governments that have done the most in the past year to improve the ease of doing business in their countries. 2019 also witnessed the presidential and gubernatorial election held in February and March, which saw the incumbent president, Muhammad Buhari, GCFR, return elected. The tenure of the governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, CONFCIB, was also renewed for a second term. This facilitated the stability of the finance and industrial sectors, given that no radical changes to monetary and exchange rate policy took effect during the year. 3.0, development of the banking industry in 2019. We have listed so many of them there. Notably, the central bank also issued license to 3 new banks, including Titan Trust Bank Limited, Taj Bank, and Globus Bank Limited. The CBN also granted approval in principle to 3 new payment service bank, PSBs, namely Hope PSB, Money Master PSB, and 9 PSB. This is in line with the objective of enhancing financial inclusion and the development of payment system in Nigeria. The CBN issued regulatory measures to improving lending to the real sector of the economy. To achieve that, all deposit money banks in Nigeria are required to maintain a minimum loan LDR ratio of 65% by September 2019. To encourage SMEs, retail, mortgage, and consumer lending, this sector shall be assigned weight of 150% in computing LDR for this purpose. Others are as shown in the
Sorry, can we ask if it is if the thing froze?
I think he did, ma.
Maybe the registrar should check with the president.
I'm trying to do that.
Okay.
We're doing that, sir.
Okay. Hold on.
Just asking to go out and redial it.
Yes, sir.
You need to be reconnected. It will work.
It's been handled technically, sir. They're assisting him technically.
Can you? Okay. Okay, you're back up.
Yes.
Back. Sorry for that transmission. The data. This is technology. I've had to switch to another one. Okay, as I was saying, the financial performance of the institute, the revenue, IGRO increased from 1.16 billion in 2018 to 1.24 billion in 2019. Representing a growth of approximately 7%. The year closed with a net operating surplus of approximately 577 million, reflecting a 7% increase when compared to 539 million recorded in 2018. Esteemed audience, it is instructive for me to mention that the modest achievement we have recorded in terms of financial numbers was as a result of change in the financial model of our programs, prudent management of financial resources, efficient cost control, and leveraging on technology to provide solutions to our members. We remain resolute, focused, and committed to the achievement of our corporate vision while striving for financial independence. 5.0, the 5 pillars of my strategic focus. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, when the mantle of leadership of our great institute fell on me as the 20th president and chairman of council, recall that I clearly articulated the 5 pillars of my strategic focus. Today, I feel highly fulfilled, having sustained the ideas of our founding fathers, building on the noble achievement and legacies of my predecessors. I'm therefore pleased to give you an account of the achievement recorded on each of the 5 pillars in the context of our reality as follows. Rules and standards. I think the review of CIBN Act, the registrar did inform us during the matters arising. That is going on. I believe that the transmission to Federal Ministry of Finance and the Attorney General will commence as soon as the coronavirus pandemic is over. Review of the structure and form of the flagship ACIB examination. In line with our mandate to determine the standards of knowledge and skills to be attained by persons seeking to become members of the banking profession, we have reviewed the syllabus of our flagship ACIB qualification. This is in a bid to keep the ACIB qualification relevant and ensure that the contents meet global standards. The new syllabus, which was developed in conjunction with the top consulting firm PwC, has received commendation of our numerous stakeholders. The feat attests to the fact that we have continued to set the standard for knowledge, skills, and conduct in the banking and finance landscape. Extant laws and bills. The Institute, alongside the Central Bank of Nigeria Financial System Stability 2020 Secretariat, considered and critically appraised some bills during the year. The bills were supported in view of the enormous opportunities it portends for the Nigeria financial system. These bills include Nigeria Payment Bills, Chartered Pension Institute of Nigeria Bill, Financial Consumer Ombudsman Bill 2020. On skills and competencies. In this era of commoditization of competencies, the Governing Council in the year under review approved 15 certification programs. The aim of the review and introduction of the new certification program is to ensure that practitioners within the banking industry are equipped with skills required to function effectively and efficiently. It is believed that the introduction of this new certification program will bring about improved proficiency in fundamental areas of the banking industry play. Establishment of CIBN Examination Center in Liberia. It gladdens my heart to report that the institution conducted its examination in Liberia for the very first time in the year under review. This brings the number of foreign examination outposts to a total of 5. Beyond the shores of Nigeria, CIBN is setting the standard of knowledge and skills to be attained by persons working in the banking industry across the West African sub-region. This is indeed a cheering news. New examination center in Nigeria. A new examination center was established to cater for students in Katsina State. With this development, we have continued to expand our reach to the northern Nigeria, bringing the institute closer to the practitioners and will be practitioners in that region. Workshop for examiners. In a bid to improve the quality of institute examination, the institute organized the 3rd edition of the workshop as stated below. Strategic collaborations and partnership. In order to enhance the quality of our program, the institute in the course of the year continued to strengthen the relationship with its strategic partners, local and international. Some of the strategic partnerships include International Finance Corporation, IFC. The International Finance Corporation is our collaborative partner on Sustainable Banking Certification Program, which imbued the newly approved Banking Professional Examination and Certification syllabus. The study materials for the certification program, which is now available, will aid the students' performance in the program when it takes off by October 2020 direct examination. International Institute of Non-Interest Banking Finance, Bayero University, Kano. You recall that a memorandum of understanding was signed with Bayero University, Kano in 2018 on certification program in non-interest banking. I'm pleased to inform you that the program will commence this year, 2020, and it will run for a full academic session with examination holding in May and November every year. On research and advocacy. In order to strengthen our research capabilities, the RSA committee of the Institute was reconstituted. The committee has since continued to play a key role in ensuring that the quality of researches and other knowledge events meet the standard expected of the Institute. Survey and research projects. You'll see that as we have done some few research below are ACIB certificate holders employability survey, CIBN affinity scheme, and all the rest are stated on this section. On advocacy, 5.33. The Institute continues to play its advocacy role with its mandate as the conscience of the industry. In this wise, the Institute embarked on some strategic stakeholders engagement. The platforms were used to address critical issues relating to the institute, the banking and finance industry, as well as economic at large. Some of the engagement include courtesy and business visits to His Excellency, President Mohamed Buhari, VCFR, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Federal Republic of Nigeria, and also the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. We also reached out to the chief executives of banks and other financial institutions, as well as regulators and relevant government ministries, departments and agencies to elicit their support and collaboration in the institute. Not left out of the stakeholders' engagement are several academic and allied institutions across the nation, such as Joint Admission and Matriculation Board. We made significant intervention in the social and economic cost space in the mainstream media, print and electronic, as well as the new media. On technology and resources, the recognition of the fact that technology is changing the financial services landscape and the way we work has kept the institute on its toes. Technology has become an integral part of our lives and has assisted in various ways to facilitate business processes. The institute recognizes the importance of technology in realizing its vision to be a global reference point for skills and conduct in the banking and finance industry. Hence, we embarked on enhancement of our technology architecture in the year under review. Some of the projects executed include website redevelopment, mentoring application, e-library development, upgrade of e-learning platform for bankers committee approved ethics and certification, cloud server upgrade, development of registration of portal for the institute's program, the 2019 Bankers Annual Dinner website, video conferencing infrastructure, and resource quality of quality of manpower, 5.4.8. Recruitment. In order to improve performance and capacity to cope with the expansion as well as emerging trends, the institute recruited the following personnel: 1 executive management staff. You recall that we had to gladly recall Akim from UBA. 1 middle management staff, 5 senior staff, 1 associate staff. On training and development, staff were sent on training programs that were appropriate for their capacity development and career enhancement based on identified knowledge and skills gap. This includes leadership courses in Harvard University, USA, which was attended by a director, as well as special training and workshop attended by the staff of ICT, and also training programs for our finance personnel in abroad. Establishment of South-South Zonal Office. Esteemed audience, it gives me a great pleasure to inform you that Heritage Bank Limited has magnanimously offered the institute its office space located at Nnamdi Azikiwe Road, Port Harcourt, for the use of South-South Zonal Office. The office space is being renovated and will be commissioned bearing for this coronavirus, but it will be commissioned as soon as these problems are resolved. On CIBN subsidiary, a subsidiary of the institute, CIBN Press, CIBN Center for Financial Services, and Bookshop continue to experience improved performance and through hard work and shrewd management of resources. While the subsidiaries maintain winning ways, details of the financial performance of the subsidiaries are contained in the financial statement that will be presented in the course of our meeting. 5.5 on brand visibility. My commitment to improve the brand visibility of our great institute continue to take center stage of activities during the year under review. While we embark on a number of constructive engagements with relevant stakeholders, we also repackage our strategic corporate communications medium and approaches targeted at ensuring a high value proposition for the benefits of our membership economy, both locally and internationally. This move has broadened and enhanced the rating and recognition of our institute as first among equals in the committee of professional bodies within the economy and beyond. 23rd World Economic Conference Banking Institute, WCBI. On the global scene, we continue to fly the flag of the institute high. The institute was ably represented at the 2019 World Conference of Banking Institute held in London. During the conference, we were able to engage other delegates from other countries for cross-fertilization of ideas. I'm happy to inform you that one of our past presidents, Segun Aina, Dr. Segun Aina, was returned as the president of this body. Payment System Vision 2030 Strategy, PSV 2030. Also preparatory to the implementation of Payment System Vision 2030 Strategy, which is expected to define the strategic agenda for the Nigerian payment system over the next 10 years. The body of bank CEOs under the aegis of the Institute organized the PSV 2030 tour of industry representatives to China and Singapore to understudy the payment system of the respective countries. The insightful tour, which was facilitated by McKinsey & Co., had myself as President and Chairman of Council and the Register of Chief Executives, relevant directors of Central Bank of Nigeria, and top executives of banks and Nigeria Interbank Settlement, NIPS, as delegates. Alliance of African Institute of Bankers, AAIOB. Distinguished members, the choice of the Institute as the permanent headquarters of the Alliance of African Institute of Bankers speaks to the visibility of CIBM brand. We have continued to provide leadership, mentoring, and safety net for other institutes in the region. We have also commenced the process of registering the Alliance with the Corporate Affairs Commission of Nigeria under Part C of the Company and Alliance Matters 1990 CAMA. I'm also happy to report that our regional chief executive currently serves as the head of that of AIOB. Media presence gives me a great pleasure to report to you that the Institute received massive favorable publicity in local and international media in the year under review. The Institute featured conspicuously in public discourse and enlightenment programs using the media platform to advance the frontiers of its advocacy mandate. Some of the platforms that highlighted the Institute activities include Channels Television, Business Morning NTA, Business Express, AIT TVC, Silverbird TV, Pulse TV, ProShare Web TV, MITV, LTV, Galaxy TV, CNBC Africa, and Arise TV. Others include Reading and all the rest of the media. It's worthy to note that the Institute's major activities were reported in front pages of leading newspapers in Nigeria, and social media platforms were more engaging. It will also report that our dinner was carried live in 3 major electronic medium. So this to show the media presence and visibility. In conclusion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it has been the honor of my life serving you as the 20th president and chairman of Council of Accredited Institutes. The events of the last 22 going to 23 months of service to the Institute and its value stakeholders have exposed me to the most valuable experience of my entire life. As you all are aware, I'll be leaving the stage in a few weeks' time, and looking back in retrospect, it's indeed very gratifying for me to know that I am leaving behind a vibrant, energetic, agile, forward-looking, and future-ready institute. I sincerely thank everyone who worked with me on this journey, especially the governing council members and the colleagues, my colleagues in office holders. I have drawn from you energy and tried to reflect on what you displayed every day. It is simply heart and character. My sincere appreciation also goes to the management and staff of the Institute under the able leadership of the Registrar Chief Executive, Mr. Sheye Awojobi, FCIV. You all made my tenure a success. I wouldn't end this address without also thanking the revered past president. They have individually and collectively been advising me and giving me the much needed assistance that help us achieve the modest achievement. Before I take a bow, I want you all to appreciate how big this job is and how hard the job is. It is not for my sake because I'm stepping out of it, but for the sake of my successor. It is often said that you are not successful until you produce a successful successor. May I therefore use this opportunity to solicit the support of members and all stakeholders for the incoming president so that he will continue from where I have stopped and take the institute to the next level. In closing, I charge every member of our dear institute to remain steadfast and committed to our creed, a creed at the core of our existence, trust and honesty. Let us uphold the tenets of ethics and professionalism in our daily endeavors and keep the flag flying of the institute flying as we march to the next phase. I would also like to encourage every member of the institute and the entire banking industry not to despair at this challenging moment. As we all know, tough times never last, but tough people do. On this note, may I leave you with the words of a 12th century Persian poet, Nizami Ganjavi. He said, and I quote, "In the hour of adversity, be not without hope, for the crystal rain falls from black clouds," unquote. I thank you for listening. God bless you all. May God continue to bless the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. God bless Nigerian banking and finance industry. Finally, God bless our dear country. Thank you very much for your attention.
Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Awesome.
Thank you.
Well
awesome.
done, sir. President, that is great.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Well done.
Awesome, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
A great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Well done. Congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats, Mr. President.
Well done, President. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Can we move to the next report? And that is 7.2. That is the registrar's report. Let me crave your indulgence that this has been circulated. I want to believe that this report is that okay? Or you want the registrar to take some few highlights?
Highlights. I know read the report.
Okay.
Report was calculated, but let him just highlight key things they want us to know.
Okay.
So that we can save time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Past President. All right, thank you. May I therefore call on the Registrar Chief Executive to present the highlights, key highlights of his report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and distinguished audience. Without repeating what the President has alluded to, this meeting is very significant. For the first time, we are operating it on a virtual basis as in line with our approval. We also have election of these great institute officers into the next 2020 to 2022. Just concluded at 12:01 midnight today, and the result will be given. This report, based on our existence and the mandate of the Institute to determine the standards of knowledge and skills, this Institute took a quantum leap to review the examination curriculum of the Institute in line with approved standards. But for the first time, it did it with the input and the coordination of one of the big four. PwC did it for the Institute, and we escalated it to both local and international partners of the Institute, and they adjudged it to be of international standard. In this same vein, I'd like to also inform this audience that there's going to be a rollout of the new syllabus and road shows to really market the syllabus accordingly. Also in this vein, we are also doing intra-professional bodies linkages, i.e., as it used to be, we are extending exemptions and seeking exemptions of members of the Institute who qualifies to be able to take other professional exams with minimal stress. and subjects that have relevancies. I also would like to state that the consequent upon the expiration of the strategic plan of the Institute in September 2019, the Institute, through the Governing Council, now has a new strategic plan to cover 2020 to 2024. This strategic plan was put together through a stakeholders retreat and consultations facilitated by one of the frontline consulting firms in Nigeria, Nexteam Business Services. And one of the key points there is that this strategic plan has revised the vision of the Institute to now be the global reference point for skills and conduct in banking and finance. Distinguished audience, I'd like to also draw your attention to our drive for ethics and professionalism in the banking industry. As earlier stated in the matters arising, the competency, mandatory competency certification on ethics and professionalism now has 87,430 staff of various banks across 18 of them registered and taking the exam, the certification, which is renewable every year and is compulsory. The plan under this competency framework is to now escalate with the support of the Bankers Committee to cut across all cadres, above managers to chief executives, in tandem with the ethics requirement. We are also highly esteemed to inform you that the last ACIB examination induction produced 902 graduates, the highest in the last 15 years of the operations of the Institute. Out of these 902, 660 were produced by Access Bank based on the collaboration and the accreditation policy, of course, under the competency framework. We'd like to thank the chairman, the group MD of Access Bank, who doubles as the chairman body of bank CEOs, for the buy-in of the entire management of Access Bank into this. And like to also state that other banks have also taken a cue through these, the linkages of the academies of banks that have now been accredited. All the academies of banks have now been accredited by the Service of Bankers of Nigeria. In the international arena, we like to state, as earlier stated by President, that Dr. Segun Aina has been returned as the chair of the Global Banking Education Standards Board. And the AIOB also is rejuvenated save for the COVID-19 breakout. The AIOB would have had its AfroCon conference in Egypt in March. I would like to thank our past presidents who were supposed to be part of the faculty and the entire central bank governors in Africa who have already indicated their interest, but this will come up at a later date. May I also bring to your notice and knowledge that the Institute also made a quantum leap in its new initiatives, one of which was the organization of the off-cycle investiture for top-notch bankers in Africa and Nigeria who have made their marks. This was the first time that an off-cycle extraordinary investiture would take place. And the first was held in 2019. We had the former head of state of Nigeria, General Yakubu Gowon, GCFR, as the chair. And on that particular occasion, 2 deputy governors of Central Bank, Mr. Edward Lamek Adamu and Mrs. Aisha N. Ahmad, were both honored with the highest fellowship of the Institute. I'd like to also bring to your notice that another new initiative was the organization of the program tagged Evening of Songs on Monday, December 16, 2019. This innovative idea was conceived to provide a platform for spiritual rejuvenation, and of course, giving thanks to the Lord. And truly speaking, it was, and we were made to understand that it should be a continuum by the body of leaders. It's also sharing to state that the visit to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has started yielding its expected results. Before this, I'd like to also report that part of the narratives that changed in 2019 was the presence of the Vice President of Nigeria at the Banking and Finance Conference in Abuja, where he declared the program, the event open, and also declared the Chartered of Bankers of Nigeria as the foremost of all the professional bodies in Nigeria, apart from being a member of MBA himself. And we also like to report that this particular event coincided with the 125 years of banking in Nigeria. And as another initiative, it was actually coordinated by First Bank MD, leading as the chair of the consultative committee that put the conference together. Also, chairing is what we have repeated severally, but I like to put it on record that the Institute acquired a property that is befitting in Abuja in the year under review. Other activities of the Institute that covers, that were brought to fore from the divisional activities are stated in the pages 21 to 57 of the report, which I would not like to bother you with. But permit me to say that the zonal offices improved their coordination of the branches, and some of the branches also made some very significant impact, and they are still improving. And we hopefully believe that from the National Secretariat, we will render more support to these branches. It's sharing to also state that Canada branch has now gotten new executives. As at 2 days ago, the executives are right now part of this meeting. They elected Ms. Mary Kemi Aino as the chair of the Canada branch, and the executives joined us yesterday at the pre-AGM, and today they're joining. And to also state that the United States of America branch continues to give its leading role. If not for the breakout of COVID-19 pandemic, the branch is expected and has concluded all arrangements to host the second International Biennial Conference in Atlanta, Georgia, from May 7 to 9, 2020. It is imperative to state that new date will be announced for this particular program. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, on a very sad note, we'd like to reiterate the fact that we lost one of our founding fathers, Alhaji AOG OTT, FCIB. This coming from the body of past presidents, as well as, on a sad note, the executive management of the Institute lost one of his executive officers, Mr. Ayo Makinde, and buried.
Don't worry, it's okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Registrar. That was very emotional. I know he was a hardworking man, but so rest in peace. Just to also inform distinguished audience that we had the annual dinner. There was 1 billion naira endowment fund for CSR for banks being anchored in the Secretariat. That fund, we are following up, and we have it that the Institute will manage this 1 billion naira fund. That's one of the great achievements that this confirms our relationship with the body of bank CEOs. Okay, may I now move to 7.3, financial report to be presented by the National Treasurer, Professor Deji Olariwaju, FCIB. May I invite you? Over to you, sir. National Treasurer.
Mr. Chairman and President, Chairman of Council, permit me to just stand on the existing protocol to save time and to put the message across. That notwithstanding, I want to warmly welcome all our leaders, our past presidents, the first president, the second president, and the registrar, and all our eminent members that are seated there. It has been a glorious year because the tenure started on a glorious note. The financial statement of the Institute for the year ended 31st December 2019 were prepared in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standard, IFRS. And this has been that's exactly what I meant on grant, and we have been conforming since 2013. And that is exactly what we follow this year again. The external auditors, in the person of Messrs. Bekatili, Nigeria, issued a clean audit report at the end of the audit exercise. No material weakness in our internal control system was identified. Also, it is my heart to report that the Institute recorded 2019 in 2019. And our performance, the indices are quite clear, which I will want to mention. I wish to summarize the major highlights of the financial report, which is duly very well expanded in the main report as follows. The Institute had an operating surplus of 577 million before impairment, as against a budget of 554.8 for the year, which to me, it was a marked improvement. In other words, the budget performance for the year was 104%. The surplus improved by 7%, over 538 million for the year 2018. After consolidation of the results with the subsidiaries, that is the CIBM Press, CFS, and the bookshop, and after adjustment for impairment and taxes, the net operating surplus improved by 7.3 million. That's about 1.43% to 514.9 million from 507.6 million for the year 2018. And that, we can see from a snapshot that was an improvement. We are able to cross half a billion again in terms of surplus this year again. The internal is also noteworthy for us to mention that the internal generated revenue also increased by 52.53 million. That's about 43.33% to 1.2626 billion in 2019 from what it used to be, what in 2018 was 1.21 billion. The internally generated revenue improved to 1.24 in 2019 from 1.16 in 2018, a growth rate of about 6.9. The internal generated revenue IGR covered operating expenses, which has been the current call over the years, to the tune of 126.96% in 2019. The result achieved was a result of strict adherence to financial controls, improved efficiency in service delivery, and the constant effort, widening and deepening, the registrar alluded to the other time. That is the idea of coming with innovative ideas of having special investigation. All those things made the money coming from our membership division to be on the increase. The full financial statement, like I did mention, are contained in the annual report for the year 2019, which has been forwarded to all members and made also accessible online through the given link. Any other question, without much ado, will be answered. All the notes are well spelled out, and this was checked, by the council, and also presented at the pre-AGM, just yesterday. It is also worth mentioning, although it has been mentioned.
Mute thing has come out now.
Go ahead, Gabriel.
Yes. Yes, it is also noteworthy that the new property has been acquired in Abuja. We believe that this will increase our visibility and it will make the brand equity of the Institute to continue to improve. Also, the issue of corporate social responsibility needs to be mentioned. As you would have heard or read in the daily highlights, frontline daily newspapers and social media, our institute made a donation of the sum of 20 million to the Lagos State government to combat the ravaging coronavirus pandemic. All these are part of the thing that was very novel. In fact, other people from other professionals gave a credit to our institute. Finally, without much ado, I will also want to thank all the office holders, most especially the chairman, and president of the institute, for his good leadership, for being forthcoming, and it's always there to champion and believe that change is inevitable. We want to thank you, sir. We want to thank all the office holders. I also want to thank all our past presidents. They have been very constructive and dispassionate in their assessment. And also, I wanted to lay on record the vital role played by our council members. It has always been very tough, but we appreciate it because it put us on our toes. And the desire to increase the feasibility of the institute will continue. And also not to forget our numerous members, both the fellows and the associates across the board who always challenge us on the road, sending messages to us. Those things were the things that kept us going, and we believe it should be sustained. But on the final note, it is instructive to know that our institute is on the path of sustainable growth, like I did mention yesterday, and that part is not going to be relinquished. And I can assure you, by God's grace, with the incoming of the good office holder that we are having, we believe this will be sustained and we will not go back. So greater height will be our goal. So on this note, I thank you all for listening. Any other questions that come as a result of this information will be answered adequately. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, our treasurer, for that brief and concise report. May I have the honor to invite the representative of the auditors, Mark, to present audit report.
Of Council, distinguished Governing Council members, the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. I read the report, the auditor's report to the members of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria is in the report, full report for the year. And I read the auditor's report. Report on the audit of the financial statements. We have audited the accompanying consolidated and separate financial statements of the Institute and its subsidiaries, together referred to as the group, which comprise the consolidated and separate statements of financial position as at 31st December 2019, the consolidated and separate statements of comprehensive income, changes in equity and cash flows for the year then ended, and notes to the consolidated and separate financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies. Opinion. In our opinion, the consolidated and separate financial statements give a true and fair view of the consolidated and separate financial position of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria as at 31st December 2019. The consolidated and separate financial performance and statement of cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standards, the Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAP C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, FRCN Act number 6 of 2011. Basis of opinion. We conducted the audit in accordance with International Standards on Auditing, ISAs. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the group within the meaning of Nigerian Standards on Auditing, NSAs, issued by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, and have fulfilled our other responsibilities under those ethical requirements. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICANN code, is consistent with the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, Parts A and B. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Going concern. The group consolidated and separate financial statements have been prepared using the going concern basis of accounting. The use of this basis of accounting is appropriate unless the governing council of the institute and or management of the subsidiary companies either intend to liquidate the institute or companies or have no or realistic alternative but to do so. The governing council has not identified a material uncertainty that may cast significant doubt on the institute's ability to continue as a going concern, and accordingly, none is disclosed in the financial statements. Based on our audit of financial statements, we also have not identified such a material uncertainty. We, however, draw attention to note 48 to the financial statements on page 50, which indicates that the subsidiary companies had accumulated losses and shareholders' deficits. However, whereas CIB and CFS Limited is a research institute and the loss represents pre-operational expenses which were yet to be fully covered by the incomes accruing to the company, CIBM Press Limited had accumulated losses up to 2019. As a result of strategies mapped out by the directors of these companies, CIBM Press made profits in 2019, which was, however, not sufficient to cover the accumulated losses. Responsibilities of the directors for the financial statements. The governing council and directors are responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the consolidated and separate financial statements, which are in compliance with the requirements of both the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act number 6 of 2011 and the Companies and Allied Matters Act CAP C20 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. This responsibility includes designing, implementing, and maintaining internal control relevant to the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements that are free from material misstatements, selecting and applying appropriate accounting policies, and making accounting estimates that are reasonable in the circumstances. Auditors' responsibilities for the audit of financial statements. Our responsibility is to express an independent opinion on the consolidated and separate financial statements based on our audit. We conducted our audit in accordance with International Standards on Auditing, ISAs, issued by the International Federation of Accountants. Those standards require that we comply with ethical requirements and plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatement. An audit involves performing procedures to obtain audit evidence about the amounts and disclosures in the financial statements. The procedures selected depend on the auditor's judgment, including the assessment of the risk of material misstatement of financial statements. In making those risk assessments, the auditor considers internal control relevant to the entity's preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the entity's internal control. An audit also includes evaluating the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates made by the governing council, as well as evaluating the overall presentation of the financial statements. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. The Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, requires that in carrying out our audit, we consider and report to you on the following matters. We confirm that 1, we have obtained all the information and explanations which to the best of our knowledge and belief were necessary for the purpose of our audit. 2, the group and institutes, the group institute and the separate companies have kept, so far as appears from my examination of those books, and proper books of accounts. And the group, the institute and subsidiary companies, statement of financial position and profit or loss and other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of accounts. Signed by my humble self, Mark E. Arie Modrigo, on behalf of Bekatili in Nigeria, Chartered Accountants in Lagos on the 5th of March, 2020. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mark, for that report. May I call on the CIBN Audit Committee report chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Permit me to stand on existing protocols. My name is Babatunde Oluseyi Oduwaye, Chairman, Audit Committee, CIBN. Our report is on page 97 of the financial statements. So report of the Audit Committee on the audit of financial statements for 2019. In accordance with section 359, subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, the members of the Audit Committee of the Chartered Institute of Bankers report as follows. 1, we have exercised our statutory functions under section 359, subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and acknowledge the cooperation of management staff or in the conduct of these responsibilities. 2, we have reviewed the scope and planning of the audit program. 3, we have reviewed the audited financial statements for the year ended at 1 December 2019. 4, we have reviewed the external auditor's management letter for the period ended 31 December 2019, as well as management response thereon. And 5, we have ascertained that accounting and reporting policies of the Institute for the period ended at 1 December 2019 are in accordance with legal requirements and agreed ethical practices. In our opinion, the scope and planning of the audit for the year ended at 1 December 2019 was adequate, and management response to the auditor's findings were satisfactory. Signed by me on the 5th of January 2020, Babatunde Oluseyi Oduwaye, CFCIB, Chairman Audit Committee. I'd like to use this opportunity to thank the members of the Audit Committee. Dr. Bulama Abacha, thank you very much. Mrs. Ibi Ekong, Mr. Alex Chinelo Ojuku, Mrs. Yetunde Oluwatoyana Ogunse, HCIB, and Dr. Mrs. Chinwe Basil Ezegu, HCIB. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. That's our report.
Thank you, Babatunde, for that report. Now we are now to take the reports as presented. So may I request that members are invited to ask questions and discuss the annual reports and accounts. Please, when you're discussing, make appropriate reference should be made to the relevant pages to ensure the right response. The floor is open.
Mr. Chairman, can somebody just move for the adoption of all the papers so that they can then be forwarded for discussion?
All right, okay. A little amendment of what we have here. Okay, I think that's better. So can we, before we discuss on the report, can we have members that will move for the motion that this be adopted for discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I move.
Yvonne Isichei moves.
Seconded
by
Arawa Donasin, seconded.
Who?
Arawa Donasin.
Arawa Donasin. Which branch?
ACIB 80763, Fidelity Bank staff.
Fidelity.
Delta
okay.
State. Delta State.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Yvonne moved the motion, supported by Donasin. I hereby, therefore, declare that this report as presented be open for discussion. So your questions and answers. The floor is open.
Chairman, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman, with your permission,
yes.
Let me start by commending yourself and the entire office holders and council for a wonderful work done. And I have 3 questions, some comments, some questions, but I start first with a question. From your report, you did say that the Heritage Bank had offered a place for us for the South-South zone. I wanted to know, is it an offer or they donated the place for us as our own? So I want to distinguish between whether it was just an offer that we can be using or they have actually ceded the place for us. Thank you very much. That's one. On the registrar's report, I want to note the fact that this year witnessed the largest inauguration of ACIB. And just want some clarification. Access alone gave us 602 members. What are the plans to ensure that without whittling down our standards, how can we wrap up the membership of that, in that grade, particularly noting that the competencies framework is significantly taking impact in the banking industry. So I just want a response to what are the other plans to ensure we have much more people. And I was glad when I look at the entire membership in the report that we have about over 130,000 members and seeing that students are still much, but we're seeing growth around associates. Now, talking on the account, I want to refer to pages 134 to 137. And when you look at 134 to 137, I want to commend the growth. I mean, I just took a 5-year summary look, and I look at a 5-year summary. If you take it from in terms of our net assets, we are 1.5 billion in 2015. Today we are talking about 5.2 billion. Total asset 2.5 billion. Now we're talking about 6.1 billion. Our IGR used to be 550 million. Now we're talking about 1.2 billion. It's just to commend the work that you have done. In fact, I looked at it that in 3 years, we doubled our total assets. And that's a challenge to the incoming people that look, in 3 years, let's try, 4 years, let's double it. I want to see a 10 billion no assets and see the work we're doing. Just to commend the work we're doing. And I appreciate the fact that we didn't allow our plan to expire. We've set a new one. So well done, well done, well done. Those are my comments and questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, can we get some order? More questions? Are we together? Yes, Yvonne, you want to say something?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Vice President Otumba.
Because I've said all my piece while I was at council, because I'm a member of council, so I don't have much to say.
All right. Thank you. Do we have any other comment from past registrar? Comment? Okay, let me look at the questions that are being asked here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nathaniel Folarin, yes.
Yes, without repeating what Mr. Jayala has said, I want to really commend the efforts of the Institute. But I noticed some things about our meetings that sometimes people who are even co-opted do not attend meetings. That to me is an indication that they really never accepted the offer. And I think that in future, we should be able to, they should be committed that they will be attending such meetings. Again, on CIBN Press, I think we've done very well that we're now making profit, because at the time I was part of this press. I think now that we are at Shomolu, it might not be a bad idea to start looking forward, now that the area is developing, to get a permanent site, which, well, on the long run, it will benefit the Institute before the area gets unnecessarily expensive. But I think that's what I think the Institute should also look at. Thank you very much. Let me not take too much time.
Thank you. Thank you, Okanat. Rotimi Ajani, yes.
Hello, Mr. President.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, Mr. President. Yes, sir. I want to commend your expo, the good work we have done so far. And when I was looking at your reports and looking at the performance of the executive, something came to my mind that, look, with the way things are going, I think we are moving fast, and that is even required because we need to move fast because the world is moving fast. I want to suggest, especially
okay, if we're having problem, can we put our questions and then we'll just pick it up?
That they have to look at even changing our name in order to see, because
All right, thank you. Rotimi, you're having your problem with this. Let me have another person.
Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Yeah, Francisca.
Yeah. Yes, sir. While standing on the existing protocol, I want to appreciate you and your team for the good job done within the period under review. But I just want to talk about membership. I was privileged to see some mails sent to some of our members on their subscription. And it was sort of discussed that those mails were sort of threatening rather than persuasive. They were sort of threatening rather than persuasive to members. Fine, I appreciate the fact that some members have not been good. They've not been turning up in putting up making good their subscription and being committed to the Institute. But I believe we should rather seek a better way to get more people attracted to the Institute. This will really take us further and enhance people's commitment to the Institute. So I'll appreciate a situation whereby we look out for a better means of encouraging members to be really committed. It is actually where you're committed to that you want to flow your funds to. So we need to look for better ways to get people committed to the fact that they are members of the Institute. And from there, we won't have to flog the matter of them making good their annual subscriptions. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take 3 more questions and then we'll just
Thank you very much. Mr. President, sir.
Yes.
Mr. President, sir.
Yes, Ibrahim Adam.
Yeah, Dr. Ibrahim Adam from Jigawa State, the chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Yes, congratulations for this exceptional performance, and you have really raised the bar. And as an addendum, or rather, looking at the challenge the global community now is facing, the COVID-19, and also the economic recession. And really, the incoming ESCO will have a lot of challenges to face, because we don't even know when this COVID-19 is going. We're just praying it will go soon. It will go soon. So I want the Institute to look at all these challenges and find a way to, even if in some of the expectation, lower them on the next ESCO, because it's going to be very tough for them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, can I come in?
Yes.
Mr. President, my name is Tajun Olayinka. Let me first appreciate your work, the work of this executive committee and then the council of the institute. I want to stand on existing protocol. The past president of the institute, Mr. Lai Jayola, actually asked a question that I would like to ask. But in answering that question by you, I want to add this to it. You talk about this competency program, and 2/3 of the ACIB for this last, I think 2019 or so, came from Access Bank under this competency program. Mr. Jayola has actually asked the question, but what I want you to add to it is this. Can you take us through this competency program? How is this program structured, so that we know whether there are other, members of the, corporate members of the institute that can benefit by way of representing their, their employees. Then again, the second one is actually, it's an observation. When we're having a program like this, an AGM like this, those important, the important personalities that are supposed to make presentation to us should be allowed to come on video. Mark, the auditor, did not come on video. He should have been allowed to come on video.
He's on video, sir. He's on video.
I didn't see him on video. He wasn't on video. So also I think the other person that also came after Mark, who the chairman of the audit committee also did not come on video. So
he's on video.
He's on video now.
I didn't see him on video. I'm seeing Regis on video. I'm seeing the president on video. I'm seeing several other persons on video. So, but these important personalities were not on video. So maybe next time
they were not.
They were not on video.
They are on video now. They are on video now.
They were not on video.
When they were making the presentation, the treasurer was on video. But when the auditor was making his presentation, it was not on video.
Sorry, that shouldn't give us any listen. Video is that we want to, this is just a novel idea. I don't think we should just be on it, so critical about, those little things. We have never had an AGM before on a virtual mode like this. So I think you should be able to, we've noted it. And if you recall, the later on came on video. Yes, I've noted your concern. Let's just not, that shouldn't be, it's not that it's deliberate, okay? Please, okay, let's just, okay?
All
right. Yeah.
Hello, President.
Yes, Kolawale.
Kolawale Busari, FCIB. I'm calling from London branch. I just have few observations. Yes, one is I personally never received any report. I just clicked to it this morning just to follow it. And I believe because we are doing the future meeting, all the necessary reports will have been sent to members, whether they attend or they don't attend. So you can be able to digest and follow the meeting as when it's progressing. The other thing I want to say is I really salute your courage. You did very well, you performed very well. But I have a great concern regarding the issue of Access Bank giving us 602 associates.
we would have loved to know the modality or what they are going through. I know the earlier, the more we are, the better for us, but we shouldn't lower the standard. Standard need not to be lower. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, my name is Samson. I'm calling from Canada, in Calgary, in Canada, rather.
You're welcome, Samson.
Yeah, I just want a little bit clarity around membership. I'm wondering, with regards to membership fees, because I know Francisca brought up the issue of membership fees. Where you are not located in Nigeria, how do our membership dynamic work? Do I still have to commit to a membership fee in Canada as well as in Nigeria? Just a clarity there, please.
Okay.
Mr. President.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
President.
Yes,
Bola Agbola, I want to, former chairman, Lagos branch, I want to commend the outgoing executive for a job well done. I want to also note the fact that, yes, we have not only had quantitative increase in our financial performance, but we have also had substantial increase in our membership. And I think in the past effort had been ensuring that professional bankers take hold of the banking industry. I believe we are moving towards that. And I want to commend your efforts and your team for attaining that. I also believe that, yes, when you have a big figure like a 600, it also gives a lot of challenges on sustainability. Our real challenge should be to ensure that banking professional qualification is the mantra to operate in the banking industry so that we can enhance professionalism and ethical practices in our banking industry. I think the job is cut for the incoming executive, and I wish them great success, and they can consolidate on this performance. Once again, congratulations, you have a wonderful tenure. I wish you all the best in your next endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So can we just take up this other one and some other ones that are on the webinar chat? So thank you very much. Let me take some, and then my office holders, anywhere I've not been able to get it appropriately right, so you can help me. Thank you, past president and current G of NESG, for your question. Thank you for appreciating our modest effort. I want to say that the Heritage Bank was a donation because it was donated to us to use. The actual plan was for us to, we were supposed to meet with the governor of Rivers State, who, through my private other arrangement, had promised to give us a land. So while that was not forthcoming, we had to now make a request, and the MD of Heritage Bank graciously donated that to us to use. Whether there, it wasn't purchased or we're not paying any rent, just like what FCMB did to us in Kano. That's what Heritage Bank has done to us. They gave us the office space free of charge, just like Union Bank, Weri. So it's that same model that is working. But I can assure you that we're still working on getting a permanent place in Port Harcourt, because Port Harcourt is a viral banking community. And I believe that as soon as we are able to meet with the government, they will get a befitting land or property. Yes, I can see that the issue of concentration risk, respect of turnout of ACIB, this is a great concern. We quite agree. But let me assure you that, one, the competency framework requires that we accredit all learning academies. We've gotten all the banks accredited. And as we speak today, there is a circular about all the banks that those that are churning out from their learning academies have, I think, about 2 or 3 years, 2 years to complete the ACIB. So it's been, the framework is such that all banks have keyed into to the access model, because we, based on the competency framework, GTB has just joined in. First Bank is in it. So we'll see more of it. We know that Access Bank saw the future. They have been magnanimous to make sure that every senior staff and every young academic must pass through this, and that's why we have. So we have also replicated this. So let me assure our members that you will see more of this qualification in the near future. I don't know whether I have answered that. So we expect that this is not only limited to Access Bank. All other banks have queued in. We expect that First Bank, Eco Bank, GT are coming on stream. So all their academies will be writing this. And Eco Bank has also mandated, registrar confirm, that all their intakes must, on finishing the academy, must write the exams. This is what Access did.
Thank you, sir. That's true.
Okay. So we're approaching First Bank, Union Bank. Union Bank also, they are also writing the exams. Ditto to Fidelity Bank. So we expect that we are going to have this production of ACIB. The whole idea is that we are producing the requisite manpower that will take after, so pipeline of leaders, and then we will occupy a pride of place because we now have executive directors writing the Bangor exams. I think our past president, Jayola, led that story, and people saw the value in it. So we're beginning to see among the executives of banks, ACIB holders, and with no distant time, we will occupy our pride of place, dictating what happens in the industry.
Excellent. Great.
On plan for the increase, okay, I think I've taken that. And I also want to assure you that we are not lowering the standards so that we produce more. Rather, you know, that if I think very soon on the roadshow, you will see the quality of the ACIB syllabus. It was patterned after the CFA because we want to make sure that a holder of ACIB certification can compete anywhere. It's not limited to Nigerian banking space. If you look at it, we have make sure, that's why we firmed it up to PwC to flesh it out more. People have asked me, showed concern that I hope the people will pass the exam. We are also making adequate arrangement for people to, to get enough materials for people to pass that exam. We are not lowering any standard for anybody. Rather, we are increasing the standard because recall that we got international accolade from international institutions with respect to this syllabus. And this syllabus is what the academies are also following. So we are not lowering standard. Let me just assure our members. On the not you raised issue about commitment of the co-opted CIBM members. I think that is a great concern for us, especially for those that are committed, that have been co-opted. But the next council has also noticed this lack and are going to make sure that the people we co-opt will will be committed to it. This is, there is no way you can legislate against this because when you are appointing them, they have accepted. There's no way you can find out whether they are not going to be committed. But we have taken note to make sure that those we select or those we co-opt into our council or into various committees will be committed. I hear someone saying change of name. I think this came up in a strategy when we had a strategy. We have resolved to remain at, because we hear banking and finance program, but the Charter Institute of Bankers of Nigeria will continue to remain. I don't think that change of name is necessary for now. Francisca, you raised issue about membership subscription. I'm really, really not too happy with attitude of some members. if you're really passionate about, you are committed to the institute, you don't need a reminder. I remember that members of ACCA, CFA, nobody pressurizes them to make good their subscription. This is a membership subscription-driven economy. So it is not right that we should begin to persuade and, but nevertheless, management will continue to find a relevant strategy to make sure that our members pay. But I would suggest that members, if you really have this institute at heart, that you don't need to. And that's why we're trying to up the value for our members so that we don't have a situation where we have to remind our members or coerce them before they will pay their subscription. We will continue to try and find a way. I've challenged membership department that our value add to members should be up in such a way that it will drag them to begin to make good their obligations to the institute.
Thank you, sir.
Membership dynamics, Samson from Canada. I think once you have paid your subscription, we cannot tax you to pay subscription in Canada and in Nigeria. If you have evidence that you have paid your subscription, because the branches, our outpost branches are supposed to collect subscription, a certain percentage is meant for them, while a certain percentage is remitted to Nigeria. So if you pay in Nigeria, you do not have to pay in Canada. If you pay in Canada, there is no, we will not, your subscription remains valid. Yes, Agbola, I think I've answered the membership sustainability. We are very mindful of this because we said we should catch them young. What drives us is that we must remain ahead of the change curve. And the only way we can do that is to catch them young. We have made our syllables to be very attractive, especially including fintech, the digital revolution that is going on. And so that's why you see even members, the young ones are writing the exams. The sustainability issue is being on our focus, on our radar. We'll continue to make sure that we, review that. On the personality video, I think Tajudeen have answered that. Dr. Ibrahim Adam, yes, it was a very tough year when we were coming in. Remember, we couldn't make money through our normal revenue model. So we have now had to devise a means of
Hello, sir.
Where I am president.
Hello, sir.
Please put president back online. That's in some.
Yes, I'm trying to call him again now, sir.
All right, quickly.
Yes, sir.
Telling you that I think by 2.5 hours, this technology can break. You have tried, can break. Let's do it.
Sorry, we're sorry about that.
The meeting is dragging on for too long.
Is that?
I said, that's part of, I'm not sure they think to last for 5 hours.
Yeah, the band is max 3.5 hours, you're gone. So once you stay too long with Egbele,
No, President, sir, you're online, sir. You are broadcasting live.
We heard you, sir.
Hello, Mr. President.
He's coming back online now. He's coming back online, sir.
Okay.
You joined?
Yes.
Okay, sir.
All right. So sorry. This network here is a little bit unjust. In Kuru is very bad. So like I was saying, I'm so sorry for that disruption in the technology. On the top here raised by Ibrahim Adam, I want to say that yes, we are quite aware of what is going on. We have changed our financing model. We believe that the incoming administration will leverage on that model, and based on some few things that we have put together, we expect a better outing. We are not given to be pessimistic, but I believe that I trust the incoming executive. They will do very well. What else again that is remaining that I have not answered? I think most people centered on access, sustainability, and all that. Thank you, past president, for the accolades. Thank you for all the people. It's as a result of your support that we've been able to put on the modest achievements that we have. I think basically, that we have taken most of the question, but if there is any other one, first vice president, second vice president.
Mr. President?
Yes,
Mr. President.
Yes.
There was an issue raised by Kolawole Busari, London branch,
yes,
that he didn't receive the annual report.
Okay.
We want to address that. And Tajuddin Olayinka talking about taking us through the competency framework, how it works. Maybe you want to just say one or two things about that.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Can I go on?
Yes, sir. Past President Ekundayo, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm anxious to join my colleagues in congratulating you. For us past presidents, every president that succeeds makes us to be very happy. In the particular area of increase in the number of associates, I want to commend your efforts.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, before you take a bow, please enlighten us more. Let the members know about the prospects of the Abuja office, what it portends for CIBN, and what plan we have about the development of the Abuja land. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Yes, on the Abuja land, if we recall, the Abuja land is a massive land that God graciously gave to us. Like we said, the development is already in use, is massive. Union Home, I don't know whether some of us, maybe when we get there, you will see that the property is well located, just adjacent to the old central bank building that is currently the Central Bank Abuja office. What we intend to do is to reconstruct the place to suit purpose. We are going to house the Abuja Bankers House, is going to house the annex, AIOB office, and then the rest, because it's a massive building, but the rest will be leased out for revenue generation. But before then, we will look at the property and review for developmental purposes what we are supposed to do with it. I believe that is going to be much revenue generation. This is because the location is good, the structure is solid, and we have is going to also give us the mileage that we desire with respect to interfacing with the regional agencies like ECOWAS, AU, and all that, and then AIOB. So the property will be remodeled to suit the purpose. We intend not using our resources because, if you recall, we have reviewed our financing model for all our programs. The Abuja building is not an exception. I believe that incoming council will also take cue from that model that we have. And that means we have to call well-meaning, spirited individual philanthropists and institutions, banks. You recall that NDIC donated about 50 million or 30 million. We'll also be going to institutions like Central Bank, our deposit money banks. Just like as the Bankers House were, built, we will also go through that model, that route, to make sure that we have a befitting office. I don't know whether I've been able to answer you.
That's okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President.
Now, yes, sir.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Sorry, I just want to make one comment on the competency framework because I know people have asked that question.
Okay.
And for me, I sit here and I'm so happy and so glad that we started that program. And I recall that when we started it then, it was a big fight. People laughed at us and said it cannot be. And I know people were in the bank that said, we will never write ACIP. And what did we put there? We identified 35 to 36 roles and defined the criteria. One of it clear there is that you cannot be a branch manager unless you have an ACIB. I know banks today, I talk to the managers of my branches, and I see many of them struggling and writing ACIB exam. Today, everybody is running to write it. Yes. I know the central bank goes around and do examination to see compliance. So that Access Bank, I deliberately asked that question about Access Bank to see how many banks are pushing this to do, and the fact that we should push them. And I know again that we're taking over a lot of work with even their academy. We define their standard, we define compliance with syllabus, just for people to know that we're not shipping it. The more we have our people, if we don't have people that are passed, we cannot insist that they must be in charge. But once we have more people that have passed the exam that are members, it is a matter of, it's a matter of time. We can't run away from all of them becoming the ACI member. I'm glad about it. And that portends a good work for even our branches. I saw somebody saying, how do we push activity in our zones? When these people belong to your institute, they'll be in your zone. That was a question you raised about membership payment. I was a Franciscan that talked about membership payment. Let me tell you, one institute that I belong to, I made presentations to them. They just sent me a letter that they were delisting me. It was published on their listing. I was very angry with them because for me, I didn't know why that can happen. But you see, so it goes to show that as members, we have responsibilities of ensuring that we pay and we are up to date. So I want to thank you once again for the work you do. But please follow through on this competency framework and let's make sure everybody complies. That is one shortcut of growing our number. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Past President. And that is correct, but the analysis is very correct. Everybody, including the executive, it's not only, I want to appreciate you for leading that. You had no need to go and write Bangor. So that gave the impetus to a lot of executives writing the Bangor exams. So very soon, like you rightly said, we are going to take over the industry. We are bringing it from the young ones, and we're also getting it. And again, also, we have a very strong relationship with body of bank CEOs. We didn't mention that because in that area, we have always, looked at our relationship not on transactional basis, but on transformational basis. And that's why you see all of them keying into this. And I must also commend Central Bank and NDIC. You know, NDIC is, you know, leading the pack in the Bangor program. What are we having today? We have knowledgeable and skilled regulators in NDIC. And we have also done that with Central Bank, especially given the bank examination certification. So that is also making, you know, the young ones in Central Bank, I received quite a lot of applications writing this exam. So I think we are on course with the competency framework. Thank you for our forefathers, you know, past presidents, for having this strategic focus, which is paying off today. So please, can we now?
Yes, Mr. President, just one issue that I'd like you to take with members. If you permit me to speak.
This is the last one. I'm not going to take any more because time is fast spent.
Do you allow me to speak, or I should just take it?
I not speak quickly. Speak as a council member.
Mr. President, I have sent some charts to you, but I'm not sure you are picking those charts.
If I have to read all these charts here now, that means we will not.
No, the issue is this, Mr. President, that all our members, you see, a number of people think that the Institute belongs to a class of people. The Institute belongs to all of us. It is responsibility of every member of the Institute to ensure that the quality that comes behind us, that actually makes for the certificate we are holding, is not diluted. So therefore, our members need to get involved in branch activities. Branches also need to review their programs to ensure that interest of members are enlisted. And the other point is that everyone will have to be on deck. As for the 902 new associates, we have in place a mentoring program. Everyone who is senior within the industry should be participating. And this is to ensure that people that are coming behind are actually trained and they are skilled. They will not, as long as we continue to expect that the central, the institute and the headquarters will be the one responsible for all the quality issue that we need. It will not work. And I'm saying that also, if I belong to an institute and I know that I am committed to that institute, I am supposed to ensure that everything about that institute, I become a flag bearer. And I also become a very, very important stock to ensure that the branches of the institute are working. That is what I want to encourage people here today, that we should all get involved and also bring in our associates. If we are getting better, it is for all of us. If the institute is getting better, it is for every one of us. If we are making progress, it is for every one of us. We are proud to belong to it.
Thank you
very much.
Wumi, thank you very much. We rest assured that quality assurance is taken very seriously in the institute, and we'll continue to do that. On the mentoring scheme that you raised, you can recall that the MD of Fidelity Bank, Mr. Nnamdi Okonkwo, is on the forefront of the mentoring scheme, and we have devised the the technology to drive this mentoring scheme, because as they're also coming out, we're making sure that the banking aspiration is taken up at a high level. So we will continue to make sure that we do our best, and management is taking note. The incoming council will also take note of this. Thank you very much. Let's move on. Now we shall, having discussed, and I think relatively we have answered the questions. Can we please add formally someone to move for the formal approval of the the reports as presented, having clarified all the issues raised? Who is moving for the motion?
Mr. President, can I move?
Wumi Adewumi, please move.
Adeni, having gone through all the reports that are presented, the President's report, the Registrar's report, the Treasurer's report, the Auditor's report, and the Audit Committee report, I humbly moved that the reports be accepted and be adopted, and having been fully discussed, be accepted and adopted. My name is Wumi Adeni, FCIB council member.
Thank you very much. Who is seconding this one?
Mr. President, I second the motion, sir.
Thank you, Past President Lai Jayola. Second is, so the reports are hereby approved. Thank you. Let's go to the next item, and that is the special resolutions. But before then, let me acknowledge the fact that we also, in the course of the year, one of our very committed member, former MD of Group MD of First Bank, Mr. Adimora, a member of the Body of Fellows and Practice License. Even though before he left, he had resigned, but he was a committed member. We acknowledge the fact the Institute was fully represented in his burial rites, just to let our members know that we did the needful. Thank you. Someone raised it, and I needed to clarify the air. Thank you. All right, we have special resolution. Let me formally invite the National Treasurer, Professor Pius Olariwaju, FCIB, to propose the ratification of the special resolutions that we have here, and that is on the appointment of new external auditors. Please, I want to say that after the National Treasurer has proposed the motion for ratification of the newly appointed external auditor, those in favor of the motion should please click yes, and those against the motion should click no on the polling window. Thank you. National Treasurer.
Sorry, Mr. President, before the National Treasurer, can the external auditor excuse us?
Okay, Mark.
I think we should acknowledge and commend the work they did over the years.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Otumba. Otumba.
Yeah.
You have the floor.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. And hope the Bekatili, they're still there with us. I hope you can still hear us.
Yes.
Are you still there?
Sorry, Mr. President.
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. President. I'm not sure they are supposed to exit. If you're having an AGM, they will be there. You don't have to exit. You don't have to.
But let us comment what they had done. Well, I have the permission of the president, and I believe I'm speaking on his behalf, to acknowledge the work that has been done by the outgoing treasurer, the outgoing auditor over the last 10 years. They've done very well. They've performed excellently well. They have cooperated with us. They have been very professional in their dealings with us. And when we had our questions when they came in to present at any governing council meeting, they had always heard us out, and where would they think that we needed advice, they had always given us. So on behalf of the president and members of council and the entire members of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, I, Otumba Adebola, would like to say a very big thank you to Bekatili for the work they had done over the last 10 years. And we pray that we would have loved to keep you on, but for the
corporate governance.
Sorry?
For corporate governance, President.
Yes.
For good corporate governance.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, National Treasurer, quickly, we're running behind schedule.
Thank you.
What did you first?
National Treasurer.
In line with sound corporate governance, sir. I want to align with the past president Otumba for commending Bekatili, who has been with us, for over 10 years. The F&GPC deemed it necessary that though we are not banned.
Move the special resolution.
Yeah, the special resolution is that we are replacing Bekatili with a new auditor more, you know, who will be our external editors from the next session. So Musa.
More Stevens.
More Stevens.
More
More
Stevens.
Stevens.
Yeah,
Okay.
more
The
More
National
Stevens,
Treasurer has
Nigeria.
moved a motion for the appointment of
More Stevens.
More Stevens as now the new external auditors. Those in favor of the motion should click yes on the voting platform, which has appeared, and those against, please quickly do it now.
It's not 100%.
From the available this is platform that I've received, hereby declare the result. I say that the motion has been duly carried that More Stevens be hereby and is hereby appointed as the external auditor of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we go to session 11. Announcement of election results. May I have the pleasure to welcome our past registrar and chairman of election organizing committee, Eson Ogunleye, to take the proceeding from here.
I left only me there.
Mr. Eson Ogunleye.
Tunji, can you please unmute him?
I'm doing that currently, sir.
Yes.
Registrar,
Hello.
you need to direct that some people be muted. There are noise at the background.
Hello.
Hello, just go ahead. You have the floor.
Okay, can you hear?
Take no voice. Please mute your. Yes, go ahead, sir. You have the floor, sir. Put him on the video.
Hello, sir. Please start your video, sir. Hello, sir. There's a request for you to start your video, sir.
Me?
No, Mr. Eson Ogunleye, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we are hearing you. I'm hearing you.
So we are hearing you. Go ahead.
We are hearing you, sir.
Okay.
We are hearing you. Go
Thank you
ahead.
very much. Okay, for safety of time, may I request that Mr. Muraki puts on the screen the summary of my report. Hello.
Kindly. Roger.
Hello.
Hello, I'm hearing you. Put on your video. Your video is not on. Yes, you're on. Who is this Technopov?
Is it on now?
Can you mute? Yes, it's on. Can those who are not speaking, please mute your phones, mute your speakers. Yes, go ahead.
Technopov, please mute your speaker.
Technopov. All right.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Chairman and the panel. This election is indeed significant, being the second election conducted by the Institute via an off-site online e-voting system. This has enabled members residing in about 5 continents, different parts of the world, to the opportunity to participate in the election from the comfort of their zones. The prevailing circumstance occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic would have hampered our election, but this innovative solution that has stood us out as an institute and has supported business continuity. This endeavor suggests the way forward, not only for our peers, but other professional bodies, but for our country, Nigeria, in general. The election, as you all know now, commenced on April 1, 2020 at 12:01 a.m. and closed on April, earlier today, 4th, 2020 at 12:01 a.m. The election lasted 72 hours. The total number of eligible voters was 1,854, 1854. The total number of individual members that voted was 358. So the total number of votes cast was 2,228. For the purpose of verification, the maximum vote per person is 8 votes, which would have amounted to maximum 2,864 votes. Next, okay. Now there were a total of 12 contestants in the various categories. One for the position of the president, only one contestant. The position of first vice president was one contestant. The position for the second vice president was also one contestant. The position of the national treasurer was contested by 2 candidates, while the other elective positions for the governing council were 7, vying for 4 positions. The election results. For the position of the president, we had a total of 281 votes, while the total votes for first vice president position was 268 votes. The second vice president position was 274 votes. And since we had no provision for voting against the president candidature as registered by Mr. Olugbemi Williams Bayo, FCIP, had 281 votes. Mr. Okpara Kenneth Onyewuchi, FCIB, first vice president, had 268 votes. Professor Olanrewaju Pius Oladeji, FCIB, for the position of second vice president, had 274 votes. For the position of the national treasurer, we had two contestants, as I indicated before. Mrs. Balogun Olufunmilayo Adebusola, FCIB, scored 118 votes. Mr. Alabi Oladele Adebiyi, FCIB, scored 198 votes. In continuation, the elective positions entered into by 7 candidates brought up the following results. Dr. Adolo Godwin Onunutovo, 181 votes. Mr. Ajayi Rahman Olabode had 192 votes. Mr. Awoyinfa Babatunde Ezekiel had 53 votes. Dr. Ibo Basi Ina, 92 votes. Mr. Odutola Olayinka Alade had 204 votes. Dr. Oguntodu James Akinola had 135 votes. Mrs. Onitiri Rafiat Oluwatoyin had 232 votes. So the winners are as follows. For the position of the president, Mr. Olugbemi Williams Bayo, FCIB, won with 281 votes. For the position of the first vice president, Mr. Okpara Kenneth Onyewuchi, FCIB, 268 votes. Second vice president, Professor Olanrewaju Pius Oladeji, FCIB, 274 votes. The national treasurer, Mr. Alabi Oladele Adebiyi, FCIB, scored 198 votes. For the other elective positions of the council, Mrs. Onitiri Rafiat Oluwatoyin, 232 votes. Mr. Aladele Olayinka Alade, 204 votes. Mr. Ajayi Rashman Olabode, 192 votes. And Dr. Adolo Godwin Onunutovo, 181 votes. All these winners are hereby returned as winners for those various positions. Mr. President, by the powers of conferred on me as chairman of the election organizing committee, we're supposed to issue certificate of return within 7 days to the winners. But by virtue of the timing, it will be in order. The 7 days starts from now, and we have therefore issued the certificate of returns to the winners. A sample of it is displayed on the screen.
Okay. So I understand.
But unfortunately, I will not be able to present it with a handshake due to the social distancing and all that goes with COVID regulations.
Since you understand what we have done.
Mr. Chairman,
exercise.
I want to thank you on behalf of all our committee members whose names are also shown on the screen. My humble self as the chairman, Mr. Akim Oyewole, FCIB, the Chief Executive Officer, Stanbic IBTC, Mr. Ebenezer Kolawole, HCIB, ED Unity Bank PLC, Mr. Tamati Okiba, ACIB, former Chief Compliance Officer of EcoBank. Unfortunately, Mr. Okibe was not available to render his service. I understand he's out of the country. Mr. O.O. Babatulu, Director Bank Examination, NDIC, Mrs. Hamda Amba, FCIB, Managing Director, CEO, FSDH, Mr. Samuel Okojere, Director Payment System, CBN, Mrs. Funke Ladimeji, HCIB, Chief Operating Officer, FBN Merchant Bank Limited, Dr. Bacha Bulama, FCIB, former Director, Securities and Exchange Commission of Nigeria. Last but not the least, Mr. Sheyawu Jobi, FCIB, Registrar and CEO as the Secretary. I thank you very much. We do appreciate the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Oloye Eso Ogunle, for a job well done. You did it first, and you are now again repeating it. Well done. We believe in your governance and your frame. Yeah. Thank you for your team for a job well done. We appreciate you. Well, members, you have seen you have a new ESCO.
Declare the result of the election.
The result has been declared. Pastor Bayo Olugbemi is our new president. Dr. Okpara, Ken Okpara as our first vice president. Professor Olariwaju moves up to as the second vice president. And we have the brand new Mint National Treasurer, Mr. Alabi Oladele Adebi. And we have other council members elected, Mrs. Onitiri, Rafiat Oluwatoyin, Mr. Odutola Olayinka Alade, Mr. Ajayi Ramon Olabode, and Dr. Adolo Godwin Notovo. I want to formally congratulate you all. We thank God for your life, and we know that you're going to take the institute to the next level. Thank you. I want to say that come May 15, I'll be May 16, the tenure ends, and that's where I will be giving my valedictory, praying that COVID-19 will have been sorted out. And then the investiture formally comes up on the 17th of May. So we want all of you to please block your diaries for this date. I want to thank our fathers, our founding fathers, our past president for instituting a smoothless transition arrangement. I think if our country will emulate CIBN, we will be in a better position to move this country forward. I must congratulate CIBN for this great feat. On this note, I want to thank every member that have been able to come in, tuning into this special virtual AGM meeting. Even as I declare this meeting closed, I want to, who will formally move adjournment and closure? Adjournment and closure.
Mojisola Bakari Asteru,
formally move for adjournment and closure.
Point of order, point of order, point of order. Mr. President, with all due respect and permission,
AOB.
may I request that we still have AOB, and also I also want to crave your indulgence, sir. The newly elected president make a 1-minute speech or two as allowed by you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. You didn't put this clearly on your program.
Very sorry about that, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go to AOB. So quickly, we'll take one or two few ones so that we can give our new incoming president the opportunity to make his remarks, not acceptance speech. His acceptance speech will come on the 17th of May. All right, AOB.
On your honor, sir, I would just like to quickly just say that from the managing director of JAES, so that he can be on record that he was unable to join online and he sent in his apologies. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any other OLB? AOB? All right. In the absence of any other business, let me formally invite our incoming president, Pastor Bayo Olugbemi, FCIB, for his remarks.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, while you're doing that, please also show these guys so our new. Okay. Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Can I go on?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. President
thank you very much. You have reassured me actually, because what happened was.
Please, can you mute this man? Yes, go ahead.
President and Chairman of Council, Dr. Uche Messiah Olowu, PhD, FCIB. Second Vice President, Dr. Ken Okpara, FCIB. National Treasurer Professor Pius Dejolanrewaju, PhD, FCIB. Registrar and CEO, Mr. Sheyawo Jabi, FCIB. All past presidents connected to us online, fellows, associates, honorary senior members, management and staff of CIBN, ladies and gentlemen. To God be the glory for great things he has done. All praise, all glory, all honor be ascribed unto him. I want to thank God for making this day possible. I thank God for the result of the CIBN 2020 Governing Council election and my return as the president in waiting for the year 2020-2022 governing years. Since the formal inauguration of council and investiture of president will take place on 16th May, God willing, I shall wait till then to unfold our agenda for the 2020-2022 Governing Council. We will definitely work as a team and we build on the achievement of the past councils, especially the 2018-2020 Governing Council, which is the ongoing one. I want to appreciate the following people and groups of people who have made my ascendancy to the presidency of CIBN possible, albeit in waiting capacity. All our founding fathers, especially lead pa AOG OTT, FCIB UFR, who was a great encourager all these years. May his soul continue to rest in peace. All past presidents of our great institute, especially the immediate past president, the outgoing past president, who has been a leader indeed. And of course, Mr. Lai Jayola, who drafted me by force, by fire, to become a member of the Lagos branch, which culminated into my becoming a council member. All our past registrars and CEOs, the entire membership of CIBN, members of the electoral committee, management and staff of CIBN, my former bosses in all the places I've worked, especially in Union Bank, who encouraged me to register for and write the professional examinations of the Institute. And of course, my family members. And once again, I want to say thank you all for the overwhelming support. I enjoin you to pray for our Institute and our nation, Nigeria. Definitely, this time shall pass. The nations, this time shall pass. And I believe that the rest of the world, and especially Nigeria, will return to normalcy very soon. Thank you all, and God bless you.
Amen.
Thank you, our incoming president.
Amen.
Well done. Oh. We pray that God will guide you and your team to lead our great institute to another level.
Amen.
I have no doubt that the institute is in for a good deal.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
We owe them prayers. I'm saying this because I know what this seat entails. And I believe that we also give them all the support. Thank you very much.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Thank you.
Yes. Can we see the faces of the newly elected people? I think they should turn their video.
Exactly.
Yes. Those who are in the office.
Exactly.
But when we see them on the road, we can greet them.
Yes, so let's see them.
For the next speaker now.
No, wait, let us see.
See them now. Between now and then, I go see their face.
Mr. President, we will beam it on the screen right now. My colleagues are putting it together. You will see them on the screen right now.
Thank you very much.
We want to see them live, not a picture.
They will see them. You will see them. Don't worry, you will see them. When you see their picture, you have seen them now. What life again? They tuned in.
Yes, sir.
It's more interesting live.
It's more interesting so that we will see them.
Interesting if it's live, cheers.
Don't worry, they are doing that. They are doing that.
Okay.
They are doing that.
Motion.
My council members, well done. Oh.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
President.
you, President.
Thank you.
You have led the battle. You have led the battle.
Yes, Caroline, well done.
Yes, so.
Thank you,
Thank you.
President.
Thank you, well done.
Thank you for great leadership.
Bernard, well done.
We there here.
Thank you for great leadership.
Carol, yes.
Thank you for
Thank you,
your
Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, enjoy the rest of your stay in Kuru.
Aha. Remember also.
Remember.
Yes, you
waiting for the first.
Hope you're enjoying nice time.
We're having some challenges with it. We're having some challenges with that, but I think we will formally put them on.
No. Hello, sir. They've been promoted to panelists, so they should just start their video, sir.
Okay, start their videos. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All
right.
Elected.
Yes, sir.
Please kindly put on your videos.
Kindly put on your videos, Dr. Okpara, Professor
video already.
Olariwaju.
Professor Olariwaju is on video.
Dele Alabi, the new treasurer.
Dele Alabi.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We'll also need Dr. Adolo.
Dr. Godwin Adolo, yeah.
Essential duties.
Yeah,
I'm on essential duty.
Okay.
So I'm around.
Mr. Jair Rahman is on video already.
Good morning, Mike.
I'd like Mr. Odutola to be on video.
Well done.
Okay. Well
Thank
done.
you, sir. Vice President.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you,
I'd
sir.
also like to see Raphael Tonitiri on video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Adolo.
Dr. Adolo, well done. Congratulations, Godwin. I hope we are seeing them. Yeah.
We didn't see them, but we'll see them sometime.
We are not seeing them.
Once they talk, we can hear them.
We can see Dr. Adolo.
Okay.
Adolo is on.
Rahman, Ajayi Rahman is on.
Is there anything? We are not seeing them.
Okay, don't worry. Leave
Not seeing them more.
Please,
Okay.
Rahman is on. Adolo is on.
Okay, let them make a word. Let them just say hello, then they will appear.
Okay, I am saying
well
hello.
done, well done. Let's call this a quit because we are going to put them on the highlights.
President,
so know them. We are going to put them on the highlights. So please indulge me. Let's who is Mojisola Bakari moved for
Yes.
I second her.
Bakari.
Okay.
Move for the
Ola second the motion.
And adjournment of
Let
the
me recognize you because I feel so much in me.
I second it. Oh, I second the motion. Oh.
Okay, thank you very much. The meeting hereby is adjourned for closure. Thank you for attending this meeting, and I hereby, by the power conferred on me, the 20th president of our great institute, to declare the meeting closed.
Closing.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Thank you.
A round of applause.
Congratulations.
Well done. Well done.
Closing prayer, Mr.
President.
Closing prayer.
Yes.
Our president
Mr. President, closing prayer.
Abdurrahman Idrissa, is Abdurrahman Idrissa still there?
Yes, I'm still there, sir.
Okay, so let's have the closing prayer.
All right. Yes, okay. We'll have the closing prayer. Let's have some silence, please. In the name of the Almighty Allah, the most merciful and the most beneficent. We thank God for bringing us together, even if virtual, and the spirit of camaraderie that has been permitted among all of us. We do thank Almighty Allah for making this possible. We thank the outgoing president, as well as this council and all ESCO members. We also thank God for the newly elected members presidential year of 2022. Wish them even more successes than have been recorded thus far. In this, we shall pray. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas al-mustaqim. Allazina an'amta alaihim ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Amen.
Thank you very much. God bless you all. Wish you a fruitful weekend. Please stay safe.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, Mr. President.
This is a very nice one.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Social distance is seriously allowed.
President, your area is
we thank God for a wonderful deliberations.
Congratulations.
This is great. Thank God for a very nice closing remark.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you very much.
President is waiting.
Congratulations to
President is
everybody.
waiting.
Congratulations.
Yes, we are grateful. We are
Congratulations, everybody.
Thank God. We are happy.
Successful
Thank you,
AGM.
Mr. President.
Thank you.
Congratulations, CIBS.
Congratulations.
Thank you, everybody.
Congratulations.
Mr. President, congrats.
Congratulations to everyone.
Governing Council members.
Thank you, past president.
And congratulations. Mario, congratulations.
Thank you,
Congratulations, Mr. Rahman.
Congratulations, Mr.
Dele,
President.
congratulations.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Prof, Prof.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, sir.
Hello, congratulations.
Incoming
Prof.
president,
Dr.
congratulations.
Pius Nko.
Thank you. Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Congrats.
Congratulations, Pastor
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
William Bayo.
Everybody.
Light is on you.
Thank you. Thank you.
William
Congratulations.
Yes, please.
Answer me. The light is on you.
Thank you very much.
My erudite president in waiting.
Thank you very much, sir.
May your reign, may your reign, may your reign, may your reign benefit us.
Amen.
No.
Amen.
Lord be stretching every one of you, sir.
The president.
Ken, the Fidelity Family Secretary.
I'm proud of
Adolo,
you.
congratulations.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Proud. You have done us very proud.
My
Thank you.
teacher, Larry Dayola, thank you.
Dr. Adolo.
My teacher, past president Dayola, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, sir.
Fine, though. Yeah,
Congratulations, sir.
So, second vice.
My all-time professor.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, man.
I also congratulate
God
you,
bless
Prof.
you all.
Pastor, when are we going to start the praise worship?
I thank you too much for all the advice and everything.
Wow.
Mr. President in waiting, sir. Mr. President in waiting. Sir, delivery channel.
Yes, as a mass. Sorry. The meeting will be closing up soon, sir.
Yeah, close. Please close.
Congratulations.
Go ahead.
Please close.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are closing the online meeting because we are live.
Send our rice by courier.
Thank you very much.
We need this though. We need the rice.
Please send our rice by courier.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice day.